Alright guys, this is a video of me putting some hinges together for two of the 60-inch ramps that are going out this week. The purpose of this video has nothing really to do with the hinges. It's actually to talk about some of the plans that I got coming up. But I figured instead of, you're just looking at my face while I'm talking, why not cut in a video of me doing some of the hinges. I'll talk quick about the hinges. Basically, the way that these things work is I just use pipe and bar. They're 3/4 inch pipe and 3/4 inch solid bar, and it's not DOM. It's it has a seam. The pipe has a seam on the inside, so I've got to have that bar offset. But I try to make sure that everything is perfectly straight and lined up so that the ramp swings open and close properly. And making the hinges on these things is kind of a pain in the ass because they're all different. Each ramp has 4 hinges, 2 hinge functions. There's the hinge at the dovetail and then the hinge at the second ramp section, but 4 hinges total, and all 4 hinges are different. For me personally, this is the part that I don't like the most. That one there, I was showing you that I forgot to weld the back section. That's kind of a perfect way to explain what I was talking about. That section that I just showed you that I missed a weld on, a lot of times when people make hinges, they just weld that back section and then that's it. But the problem with that for me is that I found over time, if you only weld that back section there and you don't do any filler weld anywhere else, over time that pipe will break and it will try to slide out. Now obviously you won't be in danger of it sliding out while you're driving, because the ramp will be up and latched. But in the event that that section breaks, when you try to drop the ramp or pick it up and you push or pull on it in one way or another, you could slide it right off. And so what I do is I drill holes in that pipe, and then I fill that hole with weld in a way where it's welded at the front section and the back section. That way there's no risk of the bar wobbling around inside, since it's not a super tight fit. So anyway, these are these ones with the angle welded on. These are the ones that connect to the dovetail, and the rest of them are just it would be difficult for me to explain to you exactly how they go together. There's offsetted. I use 1 inch by 1/8 inch flat bar as the offsets for the other sections of the hinges. Those ones that, like I said, that have the angle, those attach directly to the dovetail. And then you'll see that there's some all-thread rod on some of the hinge pins. Each ramp has 2 hinges that have the all-thread rod. One of them is a hinge that has that angle iron. The other one has an 1/8 inch flat bar offset. And the purpose of them is to keep the ramp from sliding off once you install everything together. That, if you see that hinge that I just worked on, you'll see that washer on the end. Basically, those slide together like that, and then you put a nut on the end of those, and that prevents the ramp from sliding off, during the lift up and drop down point. But then when it's time to take the ramp apart, you're able to just take those captive nuts off and slide everything off, and either move it to another truck or store it or whatever you do. So, but anyway, I'm gonna let that section of it play and tell you some things that I got coming. I am gonna stop building ramps out of my garage. I've been kind of struggling with whether or not I'm gonna get an outside shop. I've had shops before, and because I'm so dedicated to doing all kinds of crazy work all the time, if I did that, I think again I would do the same thing that I had done before, which is damn near live there. And that's not good for family life. So the problem is that I don't own the house that I live in now. I did sell finally the last house that I had left in Tampa, so we'll be looking to buy a house at the end of this year. My wife is finally out of this stint of school that she's done, so we'll be looking to buy a house at the end of this year. But in the meantime, I've been kind of really pressed for space. If I build 2 or 3 ramps in the garage, I've got no real place to store them where they don't get in my way. And mostly that's not because of the space of the garage. It has more to do with the fact that I have other things in the garage that you would have as a normal, person with a house and a garage. There's all kinds of stuff that needs to be stored. I have, 5 cars at my house. I have 2 daughters that drive. They've got cars. I have like a toy car that I've always played with. I got a trailer. I got a truck. My wife has a car. So, you know, we're kind of full as far as that stuff is concerned. And because I do all of the work on our cars, you know, I've got engines and tools and all that other stuff that, you know, that I need for those things too. So I need to turn my garage back into a maintenance hub for my equipment and for our cars, and get something a little bit more dedicated to, you know, the fabrication stuff. So what I've decided to do is get a 12 by 32 inch shed that's going to go in the backyard. And the square footage is probably about the same. It's probably a little smaller, but it won't be noticeable for two reasons. One, because it's 32 feet deep, which will allow me to put, you know, 24-foot sticks of steel in there without having to cut them down to 12 feet. And that'll save on waste. But then it'll also, you know, the ceiling will be higher in there than it is in my garage. And, you know, so I'll be able to have some more up high storage. And also it'll make it easier for me to store ramps as I build them. Because right now I'm just, you know, I don't keep any in inventory. But I do pre-cuts. So like I'll have 2 or 3 ramps worth of metal on the shelf pre-cut and ready to just weld together. And I do that because that's really the best thing I can do, short of having 2 or 3 ramps just kind of hanging out in my garage at all times. You know, so having that building, I'm hoping will at least allow me to have a couple built already and sitting on a shelf that won't get in my way. It'll also allow me to, you know, I'll be able to insulate it and then sheet all the walls in there and then air condition it. So, you know, that kind of helps a lot too. So I'll be doing some videos over the next couple weeks. That thing's coming in like 6 or 7 days. It's what is it? It's Thursday, and it is coming Wednesday. So I got what, 6 days left. And so I got to move my trailer. I got to move that car that I've had since I was a kid, and I got to take the fence down. I got to chop a tree limb off of one of the trees in the backyard, just to get it prepared for that building to get in there. And then once it gets in there, I'll probably do a video of them delivering it, and then a walkthrough and kind of, you know, show some preliminary plans. And then as I start to do some work in it, I'll try to do some videos of that. I'm not really very good at stopping and pausing and editing and all that stuff. I know I say that all the time, but you know, so I'm not really sure how much of it I'll be able to video and then, you know, while I'm working, but I'll at least be able to stop periodically and do some updates and explain some stuff if that interests people. It interests me. It's kind of funny because I've for the past few weeks I've been looking on YouTube to try to find like people that are setting up shops and, you know, or even small manufacturing plants. Not that I would consider myself that, but, you know, just to try to see how people lay out for workflow. But there's not a lot of that stuff on YouTube, so I'm kind of on my own in that regard, which is fine because I've already got a pretty decent process. But I don't know. Maybe it'll interest people to see how I lay it out, and then, you know, maybe I'll do some timing and see if it helps me in the end build faster or something. I don't know. Either way, it'll allow me to get my garage straightened out and get all them rust stains off my driveway, because right now you know, it's pretty rough, and most of it is just because I cut and weld and grind so much that settles on the driveway and then rains, and that's that. So anyway, I hope this video wasn't too boring. You know, like I said, I videoed a bunch of stuff. I put some of it on Instagram, and I figured why not, you know, do a time lapse of the hinges and talk over it, explaining some things. So anyway, guys, I'll talk with you later. I'm going to let it play the rest of the way out, and hopefully this, like I said, hopefully it wasn't too boring.